Hey YouTube, ValleyGirl5678 here, and it's time to talk about this new Mitski album. The land is inhospitable, and so are we. This is Mitski's 7th full-length project, following 2022's Laurel Hell, which was fairly well received from fans and critics alike. This entire album was solely produced by Patrick Hyland and self-written by Mitski, and I think this absolutely contributed to the album having a clear, specific, and cohesive vision and aesthetic, which is honestly kind of laid out in the album's title. The land is inhospitable, and so are we. Being a human on Earth at this time in history is complicated and often uncomfortable. We got 3 singles prior to the full album dropping, the first one being Bug Like an Angel, which is track 1 on the album. The single was accompanied with a gorgeously eerie music video, which is very fitting as the song as a whole can definitely be described as just that. It's eerily beautiful to theoretically contradictory descriptors, as the overarching theme of the track is the existence of and blurred lines between good and evil in the divinity of life. The production on this track mirrors this beautifully, notably in the choral choruses, where the biggest thematic takeaway from the verse prior is summarized down to a line or two and is almost sung like a prayer, with church choir-like vocalizations. I think this is a perfect first single and first track on the album, as it honestly introduces and lays down what the overarching theme of the album is. And in many ways, the rest of the tracks that follow this track on the album are pieces of the puzzle that is the theme of the album, if you will. The tracks Star and Heaven were released together as the second single, and something that I find really interesting about this is that Mitski titled the single, at least on Spotify, that had Star, Heaven, and Bug Like an Angel, Star B-W Heaven. I am reading this as Star B with Heaven, which actually makes a lot of sense as the two tracks are thematically absolutely in relation to each other. Mainly, in both tracks, she allegorizes her love to nature, which obviously fits with the general humanity/life is simply part of and one with nature theme of the album. That is honestly present on every song on this album, which is one of many reasons that this album is so cohesive and is such a body of work. The main difference between these two tracks, though, is that Star memorializes the love that is described in Heaven. And notably, Star is a few tracks after Heaven on the album tracklist, which brings me to the fact that this album does seem to be in a sort of chronological order of the love that is described in Heaven and memorialized in Star. Further, based on the lyrical contents on both tracks, it seems as if the love that is discussed was forced into a sort of ending, potentially through the death of Mitski's lover, or at least that's what the ending of the relationship feels like to Mitski. And this, of course, ties into the blurred lines of the good and bad and the divinity of life of it all. Like, when I tell y'all, as I was preparing for this video, my mind was being blown by Mitski, and I was having so many meta existential moments. I mean, it's so Mitski. The beginning line of the choruses in Star, "This love is like a star," of course calls to "My love, mine, all mine," which is one of the most philosophically prolific songs I have heard in a long time. Like, nothing in this world belongs to me except my love, mine, all mine. So true, Mitski. Thank you for the reminder, Queen. And this song's connection to Star is especially true given the fact that in My Love, Mine, All Mine, she uses the moon as a metaphor for her love, or at least a metaphor for something that is related to her love. Another planetary, spacey aspect of nature. And in fact, the genius annotation of the first line of the song explains this really well. The moon as a metaphor is also present on track 2, Buffalo Replaced, and is actually combined with the use of bugs as metaphors that is present on track 1, Bug Like an Angel, obviously. Like, every song on this album connects with every other song on the album somehow. It's honestly mind-blowing. On Buffalo Replaced, Mitski brings technology and industry into the concept of nature on the album, because in many ways, technology and industry have come from nature, especially given the themes on this album of human life simply being a part of nature. This song honestly has some of my favorite production on the album. This song honestly just does so much to my soul, and I don't even know exactly what it does, but it does a lot. Speaking of soul, on track 5, The Deal, Mitski proclaims in the chorus that she wants someone to take her soul from her, as she can't bear to keep it anymore. So much that she is willing to take the consequences, those probably being on par with death, given that we as humans are not truly alive without our souls. Further, this idea, as well as the title of the song, The Deal, alludes to the idea of making a deal with the devil. And of course, the devil is also a subject on Bug as an Angel. I love how this song really feels like Mitski telling a story, more than any other song on the album, I might add. even though the words of the story, the lyrics, are just as metaphorical and allegorical as the more poetic lyrical content on the rest of the album. So it's a quite geniusly written song in that matter. And again, the production and sonic development of the song really aids in this effect. For example, the two choruses on this song are so different sonically. In many ways, it actually carries the thematic development of the song / story spiritually, if you will. Track 4, I Don't Like My Mind, also shows Mitski wanting out of her body in a similar way as The Deal, which notably comes directly after this track. Another reason the song is actually really similar to The Deal is that the song also lyrically develops in a storytelling-like fashion, with Mitski describing how she loses self-control in her most self-deprecating states to the point of eating a whole cake. This little story is told through verse 1 and chorus 1, and then in verse 2 she begins throwing up the cake, which initiates another memory getting stuck inside the walls of her skull. And in my opinion, this is all potentially a take on the idiom, can't have your cake and eat it too. The idea of being haunted by memories is described quite ingeniously through metaphor, more specifically in track 6, When Memories Snow. The production and instrumentation on this track is super reflective of what it feels like to be overwhelmed or haunted by memories. Then of course we have The Frost, which obviously relates to When Memories Snow, as frost is kind of another form of snow in a sense. I'm an artist, not a scientist. It's super interesting how in When Memories Snow, she's describing how the action of memories coming to her, or snowing in her mind, something active, feels. And here in The Frost, something more stagnant and stuck, if you will. She's describing what it feels like to have no one to share the memories with that she is being over flooded with, even including herself, as she refers to herself on this track as witnessless me. And I think what Mitski's getting at here is that such a huge part of being validated as a human is being observed by and interacting with other humans. So in many ways, she is using frost as a metaphor for her feelings of stagnation. When Memories Snow and The Frost are the bread of the my love, mine, all mine sandwich. And here in The Frost, Mitski states, now the world is mine alone and the house is mine alone, which ultimately are the consequences of her hiding to the point of being forgotten. And the relation of these lyrical ideas to My Love, Mine, All Mine, I feel like very much represents this idea of duality, of the same idea. That is another major theme on the album. As in My Love, Mine, All Mine, it's a bit more of a beautiful thing that is Mitski's all alone. It has a bit more pride to it, whereas in The Frost, the world or the house being hers alone are actually consequences of her actions. In the last moments of the album, we get brought back to the overarching theme of the album, i.e. the divinity of life, in I'm Your Man, which is probably my personal favorite song on the album. Mitski refers to the subject of the song as an angel, putting them on the ultimate pedestal, and refers to herself as things that are much more potentially harmful and menacing than an angel, yet are still divine in their own ways, like a dog, a god, and a man. A dog can be cute and angelic, but it can also rip your face off. A god is self-explanatory. Read the Bible, the Torah, whatever. And a man, especially in Roman, Greek mythology times, the physicality of man were seen as divine. Yet, of course, we are all aware of what men are capable of and what they have ultimately done to society. This is honestly really well exemplified in the entire song lyrically. It's such a lyrically genius song. And then finally, the last track, I Love Me After You, finishes off the album on a bit of a double meaning, which is very fitting given the idea of duality that is so present on this album. I love me after you, I love myself after I'm done loving you, but also I will never love myself as much as I love you. There's again a bunch of references to other tracks on the album, and ultimately the song represents that both of the interpretations of I love me after you are both true at the same time, representing the inevitability and also necessity of the duality of good and bad and the divine of life and existence. That is the main theme of the album, which to me kind of ends the album saying that this album and what it's made up of exists in the ether of the blurriness of life, as I feel like this song has the most individual references to other tracks on the album, more than any other track on the album, even though they all still have references to other tracks on the album. Why did you do this to me, Mitski? This album is obviously so meta. I have really only scratched the surface of its meanings, yet it's so clear to me at the same time what it means and what it's all about and what she's saying. I don't know what else to say other than 10. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to see my reaction to this album, which is live footage of my brain imploding in real time, you should check out my Patreon that is linked below. That also has all the reactions of all the albums I review on here. You should also check out my sunroom where I post more casual exclusive content. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Let me know what your favorite aspects of this album was in the comments. If you like this video, give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!